All right. Amal found out last week Friday that what? She gets to go home. Chase, can you shut the door? She gets to go home. And why is that exciting?
Because she hasn't talked or seen her family since she came, because the person that's taking care, the person that stole her is taken away her phone.
Took away her phone, yes. He has taken any kind of chance for her to communicate with her family away. So, was Nazreen Baji happy about that?
No. Imagine if it was the kid and they were doing a play on this book, and then there was just like a spoiled kid got to be Amal, and then when they gave her the phone, they were gonna be acting. She's like, you couldn't have even got me the new iPhone.
Really? Chapter 32. Can't you drive faster? I asked Gollum. I'm driving no slower and no faster than I ever do. He replied, but a little faster wouldn't hurt anyone. Please? You're going to pay the cost to fix this car if something happens to it? He laughed. Gollum Baba, I pleaded, just this once. He shook his head, but he glanced at me in the rearview mirror and winked. The engine hummed louder, and the scenery passed faster now. Soon my neighborhood sprang into view. Water buffalo roamed the distant fields. A group of boys kicked a faded soccer ball into the street. The car jerked to a stop. Children pointed at it and blocked its path. I pushed the door open. Gollum rolled down his window. What are you doing? He asked. It's just one block over. I can't wait, I shouted. Thanks for the ride. I broke into a run down the road. There it was, the rose bushes. The worn front door creaked when I opened it, like always. As I stepped inside, it felt like the past few months had been a terrible nightmare, and now it was over. I was home. Safa and Rabia stood by the couch. They were so engrossed in their argument, they didn't see me at first. I took in their flushed cheeks and hands on their hips as their complaints echoed off the concrete walls. Seema peeled a cucumber by the stove. She turned to hush them. That's when she saw me. She gasped. Her knife clattered to the floor. Amal, she shouted. She rushed toward me and wrapped me in a hug. I had forgotten what it was like to feel someone's embrace. Baji's here, Rabia and Safia shrieked in unison. Their eyes lit up like a string of lights on Ide. They dashed towards me. I picked them up, both up and hugged them. I didn't know how I would ever let go. Amal? My mother. She carried my little sister Lubna in her arms. Her hair was loose and damp, grayer than it had been 3 months earlier. She walked toward me and stroked my hair as if checking to make sure I was real. Then her expression crumbled. She folded me into her arms. They said I could come for a few days, I hugged her, for the wedding. I can't believe I'm home right now. I called you every day. The phone rang without answer, and then one day it stopped ringing altogether. I had to wait the longest time before I could get word that you were all right. She wiped her tears from her eyes. He took my phone. The first day I've been desperate to talk to you, to all of you. Seema, get your father, my mother said. Amal, sit here. Let me get a good look at you. Despite the exhaustion lining her face, she looked like my mother again. Our dolls missed you, Rabia said, holding out her patchwork doll to me. Safia hurried over with hers as well. They talked over each other, sharing all the adventures I'd missed. I marveled at Safa's words. The first time I'd heard her speak so clearly. Lubna was a plump baby now, with soft curls like Safa's and Rabia's. I held out my hands to pick her up, but she pulled back, studying me shyly from my mother's arms. She had no memories of gripping my hand and looking into my eyes all those hours when she was a newborn. I was not an older sister to her. I was a stranger. How are you doing there? In that house? My mother asked. I fidgeted in my seat. I waited so long to come here, to let go of everything weighing on my heart. But the thing was, she looked so happy to see me and everything I put her through. After everything I put her through, how could I add more burdens on her back? Nazreen Baji treats me so well, I managed to say. I'm lucky I work for her. Good, she exhaled. I know it's not easy, but I know how strong you are. Strong? What did it mean to be strong? Did I have any other choice? Before I could say anything more on this, the front door opened. My father stepped inside. He walked straight over to me and hugged me, his face wet with tears. With his arms around me for the first time since I came home, I cried. The room grew quiet when I pulled away. I'm sorry, I wiped my tears. Don't be, my mother said. You are free here. The door opened again. I thought my ears were playing tricks on me. Parvin, I raced over to hug her. Where's Omar? Oh, Amal, she winced. He's at orientation this weekend. Orientation? Yes, for the boarding school, remember? I remembered now our conversation by the stream. It felt like a lifetime ago now. He starts in the fall, and they wanted the new students to come spend the weekend there to get acquainted. He's going to be so upset he missed your visit. I'm so glad things are moving along with that, I told her, and I was. If my own future had to be yanked away, at least Omar had his. We ate dinner at the courtyard that night. I fixed myself a plate of Kardi chicken and the fresh wheat roti my mother had made minutes earlier. I had no idea how badly I missed my mother's food until I took a bite. Hamid was a good cook, but there was nothing in the world that compared to my mother's food. Did you know I'm learning to read? Rabia told me. Seema's teaching her, my mother nodded. She'll start school in a few weeks. When can I start? Safa frowned. When you behave, Rabia stuck out her tongue. Seema interceded to cut off the argument. My mother grabbed Safa and put her on her lap. When the conversation turned to preparation for Hafsa's sister's wedding, everyone started talking at once, and I found it difficult to focus. I felt overwhelmed by the laughter, chatter, squeals of my sister, the sounds that I had missed so much. I tried to still myself and soak it all in, to hold on to when I was gone. I used to complain to Omar about my chaotic home. I took any opportunity to escape into the sugarcane fields where the noise became too much. When the noise became too much. Why did I get so annoyed at the sound of my sister's chatter? Why did I get frustrated with my chores? Why did it take leaving my ordinary life behind to appreciate how precious it truly was? Okay, girls, my mother said when the last of the rotis finished from the hot pot. Seema, watch the baby while I get the girls ready for bed. I can do it, I said. Nonsense. You're our guest here for a short while. Relax. Guest? It was just an offhand remark. They meant it kindly, but to call me a guest in the only place I ever belonged, the word cut like a jagged stone against my heart. If words feel like a jagged stone pressed against your heart, how does that feel?
Bad.
It hurts. A jagged stone pressed against your heart? Would that be
But you would feel it before you die, wouldn't you? And it would hurt, wouldn't it? Yeah, so she made a simile there where she said that one thing is like another thing. And instead of just saying, that hurt a lot, she used a simile and said, it felt like this. And you know exactly what she's saying, right?
Yeah.
Right?
sick for one day, comes back and makes a mess.
Wow.
All right. I'm going to read one more chapter because it's really short. Chapter 33. I helped Safa and Rabia put on their matching yellow frocks for the Mendi. Tonight was the first of the wedding festivities, and it was my favorite day because unlike the actual wedding ceremony tomorrow, which could be a bit somber, the Mendi was a happy celebration where everyone danced, sang, and decorated each other's hands and feet with henna. So henna is this tattoo type stuff. Thanks for getting the girls dressed, my mother said as she stepped into our room. Here are your outfits. She handed Seema and me our freshly pressed clothes. I put on the orange silk camise and green chouridor pajamas that I'd worn to my sister's wedding worn to my cousin's wedding late last year. After so long wearing simple cotton, this fabric felt smooth and light against my skin. You look pretty, Seema said. Orange always looks good on you. So do you, I told her. I don't remember your outfit. Did Amal have it dyed a different color from when it was mine? No, this outfit is new, she grinned. The tailor measured me twice to make sure it fit just right. It's beautiful, I said. I was glad Seema got to wear an outfit that was all her own, but knowing the reason why, because she had replaced me as the eldest of the family, saddened me too. Our conversation was interrupted by a knock on the front door. Amal! I knew the voice before I turned around. It was Hafsa. You're back, she hugged me. I just heard. I knew your father would come up with the money. I knew he would. I'm only here for the weekend, I said. Oh. Her smile faded. Hafsa grew quiet and glanced at Seema and then back at me. Well, I'm glad you're here now, she finally said. How have you been? It's been hard, but I'm managing, I said. Oh, she said. There it was again, that unfamiliar silence. I waited for her to ask me about the estate, about Jawad Sahib and what it was like to live there. Here I was with all the first-hand information she could ever dream of, but instead the quiet continued to stretch between us while we studied the ground. I cleared my throat. How's Miss Sadia? She's good, Hafsa perked up, but she still goes over our class time. Yeah, Seema nodded. Some things don't change, especially around here. Well, except for that building, right? Hafsa said to Seema. She turned to me. It opens next week. We were all wrong, weren't we? What building? The one with the green door, she said. I was right. Khan Sahib's family was building it, but it wasn't a factory. It's a literacy center. So the center Nazreen Baji had bragged about to her friend was the mysterious building we had watched go up. And it was in my own village. No one's going to go, Hafsa said. They don't want to touch anything that family is involved with. But it's free, isn't it? I said. Nothing with him is free, Hafsa said. You of all people know that. Hafsa, my mother said as she walked into the room. Your mom just called. She was looking for you. Oops, I said. I better go. Get there on time, okay? Farah and I are going to go do a dance. Before I could respond, she raced out the door. How quickly her life had moved on. While I scraped plates and massaged migraines, she practiced dance steps with her classmate Farah. They got to go to school and dream about a future. I knew Hafsa missed me and cared about me, but she got to barrel forward, her life uninterrupted, while my future had fallen completely off its tracks. Would Farah be Hafsa's roommate someday now? So how does Amal feel about being home?
She's happy to be home, but everyone's treating her like a stranger.
She's happy to be home, but everybody's treating her like she's a guest. And she's like, but this is my home. I'm not a guest. Why are you treating me like a guest? I'm not a guest.
But she is a guest.
But she is a guest because she just doesn't live there anymore.
And it's kind of dumb that she's like, well, I want to help with the chores. Like, no, you should spend time with the people that you don't get to see.
Right, but she can do that by doing chores and helping with chores. Right?
But she's already doing chores every
Up her little sister.
Right. But she still wants to feel like she's part of the family. And does she feel like she's part of the family if they're doing everything for her?
No.
Does she feel like she's contributing to the family?
Well, then again, does her mom feel like she's part of the family when they all had to do her chores because she was
Well, but her mom's situation was different. Her mom wasn't helping with things because her mom was deeply depressed and dealing with a lot of stuff.
She's more of saddened and she's just sad.
But Amal's mom physically couldn't help. Whereas like Amal could physically help, and that's how she feels like part of the family. So all this stuff is happening and it's making her sad, right?